Hey everyone, I'm a Raging Papist. Thanks for joining me. Today I wanted to start to tackle some of the reasons why you, as Bioware fans, as ex-Bioware fans, whatever you are, as gamers, you need to care about the situation behind Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm not even talking about the absolute shit show that is the animations. I'm not talking about the garbage story, the garbage narrative, the tone, the characters, any of the reasons you play an RPG. That's going to be coming later. This is very specifically about what's going on inside BioWare, inside EA, and why you need to care, and you need to stop supporting them. You just need to stop. The fanboyism has got to stop. You are killing what is left of this studio. Even the devs don't want to work there anymore. The writers have all left. And this game, very specifically, was basically made as a very quick cash grab by EA. And you'll understand if you just look at it rationally, you'll understand where I'm coming from. The game was given to their C team, right? We all know this now. That's common knowledge. It wasn't made by any of the big developers of the old games. Most of them are actually making some type of action game, because BioWare has already stated they don't want to be just RPGs anymore. They want to be out and about. So they're going to be doing some type of, I don't know, some type of action game, and that's, whatever. But essentially, they gave it to their C team, and giving it to your C team, what is that going to do? Well, you don't need to give them that much money, do you? Because your C team is going to work much cheaper. They don't have the experience. They don't have any of the qualifications that the other team has. So you can pay them less, right? They gave the budget for Mass Effect Andromeda was, I believe it was $40 million, right? $40 million for a AAA RPG that is the successor to the Mass Effect franchise. That is a shockingly low amount of money. Oh my God, I think even, I'd have to look this up. I'm not going to look it up, but go with me for the flow here. I believe Red Dead Redemption, back on Xbox 360 by Rockstar, was already over 100 million for an open world, shooter game. That was amazing. It was amazing. So they give it to their C team. They give them $40 million, and they give them 5 years to make this game. 5 long time, an RPG like this. I think that the turnaround time between Mass Effect and Dragon Age, who, as it started, were actually the same team, and then as BioWare grew, before EA bought them, they started breaking the team apart, which got bigger and bigger and bigger, until towards the end, when EA finally acquired them, then they just made separate teams. But they gave them 5 years and a $40 million budget, and this is the best they could come up with. Now, why what does this have to do with the cost? Well, not only did they only want to spend $40 million on this game over the course of 5 years, they outsourced like you wouldn't believe. Now, outsourcing is common. Mass Effect 3, I think, originally outsourced the multiplayer. Multiplayer in Mass Effect 3 was amazing. I think all fans know that. It was pretty damn good. However, they didn't just outsource the multiplayer. Okay, they outsourced major things. So I have an article here from TechRaptor that I'm going to read to you, because the guy who wrote this article, the guy who broke this, deserves a medal. I mean, truly. So the name of the article is "Report: BioWare Outsourced Mass Effect Andromeda Facial Animations" by Robert Grosso, printed April 1st, 2017. The news surrounding Mass Effect Andromeda continues, as a new report may have shed some light on the game's biggest shortcomings, its animation. According to a report by gaming historian Liam Robertson, BioWare apparently had all facial and character animations outsourced to other EA studios. Okay, understand that. All facial and character animations. BioWare didn't even do them, okay? That's how little EA wanted to spend on this game. Continued. Robertson, who stated he spoke to several BioWare employees anonymously, noted that the company used a new cyberscan technology, which created digital scans of a person or object that is used to create 3D models in-game. According to Robertson's sources, BioWare relied heavily on cyberscan instead of using artists to sculpt faces internally, believing that cyberscan would compensate for time development. So they're going to use some algorithm from some computer instead of actually hiring their own devs, their own in-house workers, their own in-house C team to do the work. That's how little they gave a crap. Continued. The major problem that has arisen from this was the human character models, and most alien characters were completely outsourced to other branches of EA. After initial scans were taken, they were shipped off to other studios. Robertson mentions one possible destination, EA Bucharest in Romania, although nothing is confirmed at this time. So it's not even BioWare making this game. EA often outsources work and animation to smaller studios, so such a move from EA's side is not unusual as a cost-saving measure. For example, if EA Bucharest did receive the Mass Effect Andromeda animations, salaries and labor costs are significantly cheaper than in-house for BioWare. However, several sources told Robertson that they placed the blame on the animation quality on BioWare's management team, who chose to outsource almost all the work on human characters to other teams. One source, according to Robertson, believed that BioWare, quote, put too much faith in the scanning tech, end quote, as it would not require too much additional face modeling for the outsourced team. So they're outsourcing it, and then they're giving them an algorithm, so it even costs less money. And I just want to emphasize that point for myself here, because this is an RPG. Okay, BioWare is known for its facial animations. You are known for your characters. You are known for your excellent dialogue. And I'm sorry, an algorithm, okay, does not convey these characters the way they've always been conveyed in BioWare games. And I'm saying this, look, I'm even saying this as a guy that doesn't play. I don't even play Andromeda. Okay, I said after Inquisition, I'm never buying another BioWare title as long as their policies continue. And lo and behold, their policies, they don't just continue, they double down on them. So, it's astounding. So I'll just continue here. It should be noted that it is unknown who made the call in the end. Robertson clarified with TechRaptor that it was a BioWare management decision going pretty far up and beyond the control of the team on the ground. This could theoretically have been a decision at the top of BioWare's management, but it was not a decision by the dev teams working at BioWare Montreal. It was also, according to Robertson's sources, not a cost-cutting issue. Robertson noted that the BioWare management team simply saw no need to polish the animations with the in-house team. One artist who claimed that they actively went out of their way to offer their services to do additional work on the human character assets and were turned away. So now you have actual BioWare employees who are supposedly working on Andromeda. They have free time. It's the in-house studio. BioWare made Andromeda. And now if you say, hey, I have some free time, can I work on some of those character assets? Maybe I can tune them up. Upper management told them no. EA told them no. You're not allowed to. It was the opinions of the sources who say that the management in charge of the whole process did not see facial animations as a high priority of the game, and instead had the in-house team focus on other assets, including vehicles and armor for further polish. If true, this meant that most of the animations on launch were largely untouched from the cyberscans, and that BioWare's own in-house development team was not allowed to touch them up. Okay. Again, this is EA management. This is paint by numbers. This is EA saying, well, I probably don't even play the game, but I don't like you trying to work overtime, which I would have to charge you. This is just a game. It's just your daily work. Go back to your office and go home early so we don't have to pay you anymore. That's essentially what they're doing. Look, as I've said, this is an RPG. You play these games for the story and the characters, right? facial animations matter. Okay, you don't you don't get to say that no, it's not important. It's not a priority. The priorities of management are not going to be the priorities of the devs, and the devs have to be. They're the ones that make the game at the end of the day. Right? So EA just screwed the pooch entirely. An interesting tidbit that Robertson mentioned was the speculation as to why the facial animations were also kept. One source believed that the reason the cyber scans were not modified was due to internal pressure within both Bioware and Electronic Arts pushing for more realistic-looking human characters. I'm going to let that one dangle for a second. One source believed that the reason the cyber scans were not modified was due to internal pressure within both Bioware and EA pushing for more realistic-looking human characters. Robertson stated that an artist, quote, suggested that there are sensitivities within the company about representing women in a certain way, end quote. Now, that is the death knell right there. Say what you want about people claiming that, oh, you know, they're an SJW company, right? And I don't care if you like me using that term or not. I know that you're probably just a gamer. You don't know anything about, or have any care rather about my politics or anything like that. You probably were not in Gamergate or anything of that nature. But when a company wears its politics on its sleeves, pretty much everybody loses. You chase people away. They chase people away with Inquisition. That was one of the reasons why I left Bioware as a fan. And now we know because of this. See, the reason I like this article is this is actual games journalism, right? This is not an editorial. This is not a review. This is a journalist who is speaking to devs and insiders. And if the devs give you the corporate line, you go around them to talk to actual employees, okay, to get the real story. That's journalism. This is games journalism. And they are breaking the entire scoop. And you no longer get to say that you don't know that Bioware and EA have a hardline SJW corporate culture. Okay? They mandate this on their employees. Okay? Going on with the article, it is important to note that while there is a PC corporate culture involved in Bioware, it is not one that has been mandated by the staff. Robertson clarified with TechRaptor, noting that meetings between EA and Bioware have taken place regarding their games being more inclusive and diverse. Quote, they try to be very, very careful about respecting their audience and messing that stuff up, he said, which implies it is less of a mandate by EA or Bioware and more of a constant worry about getting it right for the whole audience. Okay, so I like this because they're saying it's not a corporate culture. You know, it's not mandated. It's not mandated. However, backdoor meetings have taken place between EA and Bioware to make sure they just quote unquote get it right. So they're contradicting themselves right there. It's imagine being a dev at Bioware, right? Imagine being out there and thinking, man, imagine being an animator, one of these guys who just says, man, okay, so management tells you, the writers come and say, okay, we have this character named, let's say Quora, for example, a character. I want you to draw her, and she's supposed to be this so tall. This is her personality. These are her skills. I always envisioned her as being, you know, pretty physically fit, things of that nature. But you're the animator. I'm just the writer. So why don't you draw me a physical representation of that, right? So now you're the animator. You do your job. You say, okay, well, I've been told what I know about the character. I'm going to sit down and draw that character. This is what I get paid to do. It is my art. It is my craft. And when you're done with that character, somebody then not on the dev team, one of your higher ups comes and says, ooh, hey, I saw that sketch you're working on. She's pretty hot. Gotta say, we actually, you know, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying you need to change it, but we're really trying to be careful about the sensitivities of all of members of our audience. And some of them don't really care for too much skin or sexiness. So you don't need to change it, but it would be better if she had, a bigger jawline. Maybe shorten that haircut a little bit. She's supposed to be tough, right? So tough. So give her one of the guys' haircuts, and see what you can do about that. Shape that up. Give me the new give me the new sketch by Friday, okay? Thanks. Now, can you imagine that is your job? Can you imagine being told that your art is going to be critiqued, that the story that you're writing is not sensitive, that the characters you're creating are not sensitive enough for, and let's be frank here, let's not bullshit around the bush here, for the politically correct social justice audience, right? And I want to go off on a very brief tangent real quick. I am one of those very few, that's right, message man. I am one of those very few gamers who apparently I like to self-insert. When I play RPGs, I like to play as myself. And what that means, and Angry Joe does it. It's the kind of gamer who, when you make a character, you make yourself to insert yourself into that world, right? Because you want to experience the story, the drama, the emotional appeal. And I don't care if it sounds sad or pathetic or whatever. The reality is, Mass Effect is not real. And as close as you can get to going on in a type of adventure like that is to imagine yourself going into that adventure. It's like self-inserting with a choose your own story adventure book. You remember those? Remember those Goosebump books? So I like to do that. That's typically not a very masculine thing to do. Most guys I know, they don't do that. They play for the they play for the shooting, they play for the mechanics, they play because it's fun. And yes, games have to be fun. We all know that. But it's not common. However, women do typically, on average, enjoy self-insertion. It's frankly a feminine quality. It's the way they like to evaluate stories. They make the story relevant to themselves. They imagine themselves with these people and these characters making these decisions. Okay? So essentially, what BioWare is telling you, what they're telling their dev team, is that because women play these games, and they do, BioWare has incorporated a very large female audience, quote unquote large for for an RPG. I think BioWare actually has, if I'm not mistaken, I have to see if this study has changed. But back in the day, BioWare had one of the largest female audiences for RPGs, because women don't typically play RPGs, but they do like BioWare games because of the aspiration, because of the character choice, because of all these things. So essentially, because women are playing these games, we don't want to have women that could, because women are just too sensitive, and they'll be offended that there's all these women around them that they will never be, right? They'll never climb to that height, right? In terms of beauty, and besides, beauty standards are just patriarchal, and it's just we don't want to make them feel bad about this. Now you might be thinking, even though Tech Raptor just broke the bombshell that this is actually what they do. They literally physically do this. You might be thinking, but Papist, that's just another conspiracy. And it's like, really? You take a look at the model they used for the guy, and you tell me that cyber scan, okay, that face they used with him doesn't match up. Now you take a look at the model they used for the female, and you tell me that cyber scan looks exactly like her, the way it does with the guy. Obviously, it doesn't. This is objectively provable. Okay? So this is what happens when SJW corporatism infects everything, and it always starts off slow. And I've been saying, I've been one step ahead. I do take pride in that. I've been one step ahead of the BioWare game development for so long. I remember back when BioWare still had its forums, back when you were still allowed to bitch and moan on BioWare forums until they closed them down. BioWare forums were relegated to being a cry room. The devs eventually stopped going there. because they were getting so much flack. Why were they getting so much flack? Because Inquisition was not a good game. I've said on my review on this channel and on elsewhere, I wrote an article. I wrote a review for Base Gamer. Essentially, I said at its height, the best moments of Inquisition were painfully mediocre. Okay, and most fans still didn't want to believe it. They still wanted to say, "Oh no, but this is Bioware, right? They made KOTOR, right? Oh, they made this is my childhood." I get that. This was the company that made my childhood games too. But you got to face the facts. The plot line in Inquisition was not good. The main plot of the game was resolved by Act 1. Okay, these were not good characters. You already started to see the PC corporate culture infecting everything they did there, not just with Sarah and how she is repulsive, but with Krem, the transgender, the lovable transgender who tells you about how oppressed they were and how you shouldn't be oppressive, and I'm a real boy, right? Okay, and apparently they do the same thing in Andromeda with and I saw the clip on Smudboy's channel of a transgender person who, when you ask them about their backstory, thankfully it's that you have to ask them about their backstory. But when you do, they say, "Oh, I was known one time as Steven or Stefan or something like that, and when I came out to Andromeda, I didn't want to be that person anymore." So that's the transgender in this one, at least. And of course, the one dialogue option you actually have one to end the conversation, and it's good for you. They give you one dialogue option where you get to approve. It's no different than Inquisition here. So, well, Inquisition was a mediocre title. This is a bad game. Okay, this is actually a bad game, and I know that upsets people still, because everyone, the most harsh criticism I've seen from people typically are, "This is a mediocre game," but no, it's a bad game. And if Bioware keeps going the way they do, and if EA just essentially keeps milking them, just keeps burying them, worse, until EA finally decides to liquidate them, because they don't want to spend money on this anymore. Is Andromeda going to make a profit? You bet it's going to make a profit. Not because SJWs are buying the game, but because spent $40 million. you spent $40 million and you outsourced everything to cut costs even further. I have no doubt you're going to make a tidy profit. Keep making a tidy profit. You'll keep Bioware alive. You will keep them on life support. You will keep killing the franchises. This was the Bioware's trilogy, right? This was an entirely made by them, its own new IP, are killing this thing. So if those new, and with the new patch notes that are coming out, I'm already telling you, and you know this, they're not going to be able to fix this crap. You can't fix a bad story unless you make a new game, right? You can touch up some of these crappy animations, but unless you go back and hand do the animations, the algorithm is just going to mess up. You can change some camera angles. You can fix the bugs. You can make driving more important. You can make shooting tighter. You can correct the latency in multiplayer, but you're not hitting why anybody gives a shit about your game. And it's the RPG. It's the role-playing in the role-playing game. And so that's the Tech Raptor report. I'll remember to link that in the description. And I wanted to show one more thing. There's a tweet that a former Bioware employee, they left, and good for them. You shouldn't be working for them anymore. A tweet that they made out on Mass Effect Andromeda's development, and this goes to show you even further that it's not even just a corporate problem; it's a dev problem. So this was posted on July 27th of 2016 by, as far as I know, an anonymous dev. So it's possible, but it's pretty much been, sourced at this point. This is accurate. And it reads, "BioWare Edmonton and Montreal symbiosis is broken. Lots of conflicts and bro culture. We lost over 13 leads, game design, art, audio, programming, senior core leads, and etc. in 5 years at BioWare Montreal on Mass Effect. Edmonton lost only 3. it is clear that Edmonton has the bigger part of the stick when it comes to purge leads and producers who are not aligned with their leadership style. Okay, so even this guy understands it's if you disagree, then you're out. That's how they work. It's why Bioware is converged. It's why EA is converged. And any converged company or institution will work to serve the narrative. They would rather lose profits than break away from the narrative. He continues, putting people on performance improvement programs, PIP programs, is the new tactic to get rid of people. Once again, more than 10 people of Montreal got slammed with this bureaucratic uppercut to let go people that are not bending to Edmonton leadership styles in the last revision cycle. This approach is used by Montreal leadership to purge the mess from the lack of vision caused by upper management in the last 4 years, throwing people under the bus to protect bad core management. So essentially, if you see what they're doing, if you say this is schlocky work, if you have the audacity to say that you disagree, and you go to upper management to complain, you're out. They'll find somebody else for cheaper who will replace you. Going back, renaming crunch to finaling mode, which means company pays for your lunch, but you have only 30 minutes to eat and then getting back on the keyboard, was lasting for over 2 months and was a real catastrophe. Now, if you guys don't know, crunch time on a project and in finalizing time, if they're renaming it to finaling mode, it means you can do what you want. But typically in game development, you get 1 month of crunch time, and it's before the game, quote unquote, goes gold. And in that crunch time, all aspects of development, you are under the gun. You are going to work to death for a month. So what EA did is, and the thing is, you get paid for that extra overtime, right? They're going to work you like a slave, like a dog, but you get paid extra. So what EA did was they renamed crunch time to finalizing time so they could extend it beyond 1 month to 2. Fantastic. Retaliation and harassment is sadly a reality. If you talk and ask questions, you will be tagged as a troublemaker and end up in a bad position. HR will not help you out. They will deny the current harassment from Montreal management by ignoring and not documenting the facts. In other words, if you leave, don't talk. Just let it go. Many benefits got cut due to too much time extension to get the game done. Because that's the thing. Going back to the time extension, and that's the end of the source, right? So this guy or gal or whoever who's leaving, just whistle blew. One of the reasons you can keep extending the game, if you keep doing that, if you keep causing time delays, they gave them 5 years. That's a long ass time. I wouldn't be surprised if Bioware or if EA said, okay, to Bioware, I'm giving the C team, you guys have 3 years. Okay, 3 years, that 40 million. And at the end of 3 years, the C team said, we can't get it done, we need more time. EA says, okay, we'll give you a pittance more. At the end of 4 years, Bioware says, we need more time. EA said, okay, I'll give you a pittance more. At the end of 5 years, EA says, I'm not giving you any more money. It's whatever is done is done. And Bioware said, okay, then we have no choice but to put it out because you just basically said you're going to stop paying us for work. So, and that's what we got. The absolute buggy mess where we are playing the beta for them with the shitty story, crappy characters, terrible narrative, nice graphics on the planetary exploration, interesting worlds, basically zero soundtrack. There's almost no music in the game, much like Inquisition. And, oh, you really beefed up the shooting. And we like our jetpacks. Because those are all the reasons we play Mass Effect. Awesome. So that's my initial thoughts. I had to put this out there because Bioware fans, you need to know. I don't know why anybody would still purchase their product. The solution to that is simple. You should not be purchasing their product. I don't care what Aaron Flynn or any of them over at Bioware or EA say. They don't care about you. They don't care about Mass Effect. They don't care about the players. They don't even care about their own devs, as was made very, very clear. You are a pawn. You are a cog in the machine. And this is very sad for people who used to love Bioware, who grew up with Bioware like myself and many others. because there was a time when Bioware devs really cared about these games. You can see that in Dragon Age Origins. You can see it in Jade Empire. You can see that in KOTOR. You can see that in the original Mass Effect. You can see it in Baldur's Gate. You can see dedicated people that loved what they did. And they're gone. They are all gone now. And they're not coming back. And in their absence, okay, EA has finally killed Bioware. You have to wake up. Do not listen to fanboys who say these things will be patched. Do not listen to Bioware gave an apology. Aaron Flynn wrote some kind of apology where he said, hey, we're getting some feedback. Like, hey, some people don't care for what we've done. Okay, that's not an apology. Okay, he's doubling down. When you read corporate speak, you have to read that for what it is. They don't care, right? And you have to tell these people no. You have to tell them you don't deserve my wallet. You have to tell them you've killed my franchise. And until you are able to either bring it back, which we know they're not going to do, and you need to realize that too, that they're not going to get your money. It's sad. It sucks. I'm a gamer. I've loved Bioware my whole life. My God, that was the reason I bought an Xbox 360 back in the day, because I knew that I knew that Bioware was going to be making RPGs for it after KOTOR. But those days are dead. And there are plenty of developers that are up and coming that are not subject to a politically correct corporate culture that mistreats and abuses their own devs, their own artists, and their own creators. So you need to follow them. Give them your money. Give your money to the people that deserve it. And Bioware has proven to you, objectively now, they don't deserve it. So that's all I have to say on this matter. And I'll do a review of, as an objective review as I possibly can on Andromeda, although frankly, I don't even know if it deserves it at this point, in the future. So take care. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.